Now, because you have never experienced it before, because you've never learnt about it before, because that's not the way I do my work, okay? मैं ऐसा काम नहीं करता. You could completely say, I don't agree with it. But what I'm only saying is, ask yourself, what you're telling yourself, is that the truth or is that an assumption that you and I are creating? My life. And there, standing on the highway, where the rain is falling, and there are tears falling from here. You know why? Because there's no money to go back home. So I have to walk for 2 hours. Could you start leading the disruption? And with that, I want to bring in 3 elements. It is the 3F. And the first one is fast. How quick are you to identify a turning point in your industry, in supply chain? What is the new thing that is happening? It has been identified that every year there is one disruption minimum that happens in supply chain. Is there a yes? It does happen. And how quick are we as heads and leaders of teams to identify what are some of those disruptive changes? How quick we are. The number 2 is fluid. So number 1 is fast. Number 2 is fluid. Fluid basically means how quick are you to adapt? Like a liquid, are you quick to adapt or are you stiff? Because if you're stiff, you will not be able to grow. Is that correct? And the last one is flexible. How flexible you are. So the 3 F's. Identify and disrupt your thinking pattern. Let me ask you a question, and if you're with me, give me an answer. How many of us wear socks which are of 2 different colors today? Are you wearing socks which is left-sided different color and right-sided different color? How many of you are? No, right? Now, as a trainer, one thing I've realized is we teach protocols. We teach, you got to wear socks which are only one color. That's wrong. ऐसे करना नहीं चाहिए. तुम क्या कर रहे हो? ये क्या कर रहे हो? ऐसे कैसे socks पहनने? We should teach that as part of learning and development. So that is what I did. But you know what is very interesting? What you see, my friend, is the new innovation, disruption in the market, wherein Disney, Star Wars and so many across the world are now introducing socks in pairs of 3, which means none of the pairs match with each other. You will wear 2 different and then you will change one with the other. You'll say, excuse me, are you nuts? Are you gone out of your head? My friend, this is a $1 billion business, by the way. This is a new up internationally. This is becoming exciting. People are just moving their ankles up just to show their new socks. I know it's funny, but my friend, this is innovation. What I'm trying to just say is, just because it never happened does not mean it cannot change. And what I'm trying to say is, what you and I have just realized is, there are certain assumptions we have in our mind because this is how things have to be. What I'm trying to tell you, my friend, is changes are happening. And it's a good question to ask. For example, let's say one of the leaders over here has a disruptive idea and says, excuse me, this is the disruptive idea you have. Now, because you have never experienced it before, because you've never learnt about it before, because that's not the way I do my work, okay? मैं ऐसा काम नहीं करता. You could completely say, I don't agree with it. But what I'm only saying is, ask yourself, what you're telling yourself, is that the truth or is that an assumption that you and I are creating? Are you with me? And it's a good question to question our assumptions. So how do you identify and disrupt your thinking pattern? Number 1, every time you fall into a problem, any problem that you and I are facing, and you feel there is no solution, a good question to ask is, am I making an assumption? Can that assumption be broken? Can I disrupt my own thinking? Is that possible? Now, a few seconds back, if you remember, my friends, I shared my story. Didn't you hear that? Guys, I was a laborer on the road, right? I had no resources. I could not even dream to come and stand in front of such amazing people. And when I used to stand at Malad East on the highway, I used to stand with my umbrella like that, and there's rain falling from heaven. And I used to go door to door, house to house, knocking and trying to sell watches. And I used to have people catch me by the collar and say, "Bhag, nikal se, bhag, chal." And sometimes I used to stand at that crossroads of my life, and there, standing on the highway, where the rain is falling and there are tears falling from here. You know why? Because there's no money to go back home. So I have to walk for 2 hours. Number 2, there is no food to eat for people waiting at home. The easiest assumption I could make today is the clients rejected me, the world rejected me. I'm gone. My dad was like that, this happened, that happened. But today, my friend, I'm standing in front of you smiling because I've chosen to break my own assumptions and ask myself this: Bob, is it possible to disrupt your own thinking? Now I want to ask you, do you think it is possible to disrupt your own thinking? And do you think you can move forward exponentially? Absolutely.